Hello, Bailey.
Hello, Lydia.
Hello, Grandpa.
Hello, Lydia.
Hello, Toady. Is this Toady in there?
It's the Tony Awards.
Hi, I'm Emily DeCola, and I'm a puppet designer. The thing that I love the most about being a puppet designer is that it involves everything from identifying characters, understanding who they are and where they come from and their place in a story, to literally building the talent for a project. How all of those details express who they are. It's a lot like dance and choreography in that I design characters from a kinetic perspective. All of my puppets, particularly my puppets for theater, work with performers and their own bodies to sort of echo and amplify the ideas about character and storytelling that are built into them. I was a very crafty kid and always very interested in performance, not just in theater, but also in dance and in movement. I thought I was going to be a doctor. I ended up going to university and starting a pre-med program, but then I saw a really great puppet show. Ronnie Burkett, who's a Canadian marionette genius, came to Montreal with his production Tinka's New Dress. One man and 37 puppets told the most complete and beautiful piece of performing art I had ever seen. And I thought, I need to try this. And I somehow convinced my university to support doing an independent study in puppetry. And we put together a couple of very strange puppet shows, and I fell in love with it. I've been working here in New York for about 7 years. The first few years as an independent freelance puppet designer. Eventually, I met Eric Wright and Michael Schupbach, who are now my two partners here at the Puppet Kitchen LLC. We moved into this commercial kitchen, which is a totally amazing studio. Initially, we worked in this space as three designers sort of playing alongside each other. And over the course of a couple of years, we realized that not only were we working together more often, that each of us was feeling the influence of the other two in our work in really great ways. And you can see how each of us has brought our experience and our individual aesthetics into a really blended whole.
Oh, this is confusing.
It's cool. Many people in this country, when they hear the word puppetry or puppet designer, think about fur and googly eyes and foam. And these are definitely materials that we use. Most of the time, my puppetry design work uses everything else. From wood to fabric, I do a lot of carving. There's a tremendous amount of sculpture involved. This guy, he's the rat from Animal Farm, the puppet musical, which my partner Eric Wright and I designed a few years ago, is made out of old burlap, lots of wood, some foam, glue, and you can see that he's on wheels here, which originally were Tupperware lids. Puppets designed for theater have to be built to last. So, like anything else in a production, they have to be built well and durably. They also work best when they're most simple. They're sculptures in movement. So in some ways, getting hung up on the details doesn't actually serve the production so much as looking for opportunities for the performer's body and the space to really integrate with an object. A lot of the producers and directors that I work with haven't worked with puppets before. So we have to kind of guide them through the process of figuring out what makes a good puppet character and how puppetry can be integrated into a production that uses a blend of forms. Essentially, puppets bring to the stage a suite of possibilities and also a whole bunch of limitations that actors don't have. Puppets fly when they fall in love. Sometimes they die on stage, sometimes we break them into pieces, and then they also ask the audience for a kind of engagement that I think they don't necessarily have with a human actor. A few years ago, John Tartaglia, the puppeteer of Avenue Q and Sesame Street fame, came to the Puppet Kitchen with an idea for an underwater blacklight puppet show with fish. John walked in the door with a script and some ideas about who the characters were and the basis for the designs that would eventually become John Tartaglia's ImaginOcean. These are some of the concept art boards for ImaginOcean. The design process really started with Michael, Eric, and I sitting down with some sketches that John had done. Each of us sketched every character. And then we literally pooled our designs and said, I like the eyes on that one, and I think we should pull that goofy looking chin and that sort of dongly thing on the top of its head from this puppet. And came up with characters that drew from initial impulses that each of the three of us had. So now that ImaginOcean is happily running off-Broadway at New World stages, it looks like there are going to be a bunch of new iterations of the show. One to Australia, one on a national tour around this country. We're now also working to create ImaginOcean 2. Working title, Love Never Swims. Puppet designers are also puppeteers and puppet builders, and there's often a lot of overlap between the designers and the performers. I love to play because in play, I think, we forget about impossibility. We imagine and then articulate what otherwise could not possibly have been conceived of. And I think the fact that I've managed to make a career out of that, it's silly and it's wonderful, and I love it.